Okay, picture this. You are standing in the middle of a glitzy, ultra-modern automotive expo in the heart of Europe or America, and you are surrounded by the legacy of titans of manufacturing. You see the polished badges of Volkswagen, Ford, and Toyota companies that have completely dominated the global highways for over a century. But as you look closer at the crowds, you notice a massive, frantic gathering around a sleek, aggressively designed electric sedan that most Western consumers had never heard of just a few years ago. You look at the price tag and it is laughably lower than anything than the Western giants can produce. You look under the hood and the technology is years ahead of the competition. Within months, this single company is systematically undercutting entire national industries, promoting world leaders to frantically erect massive tariff walls of a sheer economic panic. Now, you might think this is unprecedented. Global disruption was engineered by an elite tech conglomerate backed by centuries of inherited banking wealth or cozy boardroom connections. But what if I told you that this entire global manufacturing empire was built from a foundation of profound childhood lows, extreme poverty, and an unyielding, almost terrifying obsession with self-reliance? And what if I told you that the mastermind behind these machines started with nothing but a tiny amount of borrowed money and a workforce of just 20 people? What is the reality behind the spectacular rise of BYD? It sounds like a traditional corporate success story, does it not? It sounds like a simple narrative of a clever tech startup caught in the right place at the right time during a green energy boom. But the structural reality unfolding right now across the global trading floor is far more psychological, deeply strategic, and incredibly calculated. We are currently witnessing a massive, ruthless revolution that is entirely turning the global automotive industry upside down. But we will get to that intense multi-billion-dollar global price war and the private fleet of massive cargo ships dominating the oceans in just a moment. First, to truly understand the sheer panic of Western automakers and the unstoppable momentum of today, we have to look back to a tiny farming village. We have to understand exactly how an orphan boy from one of the poorest regions in China reverse engineer the global economy. See, to comprehend the modern corporate architecture of BYD, you cannot start in a modern boardroom. You have to go all the way back to the 1966 in Wuwei County, located deep within the Anhui province. This was one of the poorest, most neglected farming regions in China, and the trajectory of Wang Chuanfu's early life was defined by compounding, devastating tragedies. His father, a humble village carpenter, passed away when Wang was only 13 years old. If that was not enough to shatter a young child's world, it got worse. Just 2 years later, precisely as Wang was preparing to sit for his critical junior high school examination that would dictate his entire academic future, his mother collapsed in the fields and died. Left completely with nothing, the family faced total starvation, forcing them to take drastic, unimaginable measures. His elder brother dropped out of the high school entirely to take grueling factory work, channeling every single spare yuan towards his younger brother's education. When Wang reached his final year of high school and could not even afford the basic textbook required to study, his sister-in-law stepped forward and sold the only jewelry she possessed from her marriage dowry. Think about the immense weight of that sacrifice. This total unconditional family surrender became the invisible, permanent architecture of Wang Chuanfu's psyche. When an entire family sacrifices their own livelihoods to buy you a single chance at a future, you do not waste it on caution. It instilled in him an obsessive, relentless drive for absolute self-reliance. It taught him a brutal lesson. If you want to survive in a hostile world, you cannot depend on external forces. You must build your own fortress. And that exact mindset would later define every single high-stakes strategic decision he made at the helm of BYD. So what did he do with that hard-earned opportunity? He buried himself completely in the world of science. Wang earned a degree in metallurgical physical chemistry from Central South University, followed rapidly by a master's degree at the Beijing Non-Ferrous Metal Research Institute. This was not just generic academia, he was spending his youth decoding the exact molecular secrets of battery chemistry. By his mid-20s, Wang was a rising star researcher with a secure, highly coveted government position, a joke that the Chinese famously call the iron rice bowl because it guarantees lifetime security. But Wang recognized a massive macroeconomic shift happening right outside his laboratory windows. The global mobile phone boom was just beginning, and Japanese giants like Sanyo and Panasonic held an absolute unbreakable monopoly on the rechargeable battery market. Realizing that the rigid state-owned enterprise system would heavily restrict his ability to move fast, he made a move that shocked his peers. He walked away from the iron rice bowl and resigned. In 1995, Wang borrowed 2.5 million yuan, which was roughly $350,000 from a supportive cousin, and moved straight to Shenzhen. At the time, Shenzhen was a rapidly developing, chaotic special economic zone where anything was possible if you had the grit to try. He registered a company using 3 completely random letters that meant absolutely nothing at the time: B, Y, and D. It was only much later, after achieving massive success, that the company retrofitted those letters to mean "Build your dream." But in those early days, the dream was facing an immediate existential operational hurdle. Wang completely lacked the capital to purchase the multi-million-dollar automated assembly lines used by his massive Japanese competitors. A normal entrepreneur would have surrendered right there. But Wang executed a brilliant, highly unconventional pivot. He completely reverse engineered the entire battery manufacturing process, breaking it down into highly simplified individual manual steps. Instead of employing expensive robotic arms, he deployed hundreds of cheap, efficient human workers to perform the exact same repetitive molecular movements. This human as a cog strategy allowed BYD to undercut Japanese manufacturers entirely on price while maintaining a high level of output. The gamble paid off spectacularly. By 2002, BYD had conquered the global market, becoming the world's largest maker of nickel-cadmium batteries and supplying international tech giants like Motorola and Nokia. But having conquered the battery world, Wang made a terrifying move that absolutely horrified his traditional institutional investors. In 2003, he used his battery profits to acquire Qingchang Automobile, a failing, decrepit state-owned car manufacturer. The moment the news hit the trading floor, BYD's stock price was instantly cut in half. Wall Street and Hong Kong investors thought he had completely lost his mind. Why would a successful battery maker throw his capital into notoriously expensive, margin-crushing world of car manufacturing? But Wang Chuanfu was not interested in the traditional internal combustion engine. He was playing a full chess game while his investor was playing checkers. He foresaw that the traditional automotive engine was a technological dead end for China. His strategy was to use electric vehicles as a stepping stone to bypass traditional automotive engineering entirely to Wang's brilliant chemical mind. An electric vehicle was not a complex car, it was just a giant battery on wheels, and absolutely nothing on earth knew batteries better than him. This profound foresight caught the attention of Charlie Munger, the late vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, who famously called Wang a combination of Thomas Edison and Jack Welch. Munger convicted Warren Buffett to invest $230 million for a 10% stake in BYD in 2008, instantly giving the young Chinese company the global credibility and financial shield it needed to scale. Now, let us look at the absolute anatomy of the advantage that BYD spent 2 decades perfecting. Wang's early childhood obsession with self-reliance meant that BYD completely rejected the traditional manufacturing model. If you look under the hood of a Western car, you are looking at a messy jigsaw puzzle of parts bought from thousands of independent global suppliers. When a global crisis hits, that supply chain fractures and production grinds to dead halt. BYD completely insulated themselves from these vulnerabilities through a fortress of total vertical integration. They don't just assemble cars, they literally mine their own lithium from the ground. They manufacture their own automotive grade microchips through BYD semiconductor. They build their own passenger seats, their own lighting system, and their own air conditioning units. Most critically, they developed the Blade battery, a cobalt-free structural marvel that is safer, denser, and significantly cheaper than anything their competitors possess. By manufacturing almost everything completely in-house, BYD stripped out the 10% to 20% profit margins that external suppliers typically charge at every single step, creating an untouchable pricing moat that no Western automaker could ever cross. But genius and grit do not scale to global dominance in a vacuum. It requires immense structural backing, and BYD's historic ascent was fundamentally accelerated by the massive financial machinery of the Chinese states. The government recognized early on that they could never beat the West or Japan in traditional engine manufacturing, but electric vehicles completely leveled the playing field. To ensure national victory, Beijing essentially acted as the world's largest venture capital firm. Between 2018 and 2022 alone, BYD received roughly $3.7 billion in direct government subsidies, and recent financial filings show they received over $1.8 million, which is 12.47 billion yuan in 2025 alone. The state provided cheap land for mega factories, massive tech rebates for research, and mandated the complete electrification of public transport, forcing cities like Shenzhen to replace their entire public bus fleets exclusively with BYD vehicles. The state absorbed the massive early stage risk, allowing BYD to focus entirely on technological iteration and massive economies of scale. Today, the company that started with borrowed money officially overtakes the world, surpassing legacy giants in global EV production volume. But Wang Chuanfu knows that the domestic market has devolved into the brutal price war, and Western nations are erecting massive tariffs wall to protect their failing industries. So what is the global endgame? It is a rapid, aggressive shift from made in China to made globally. To bypass trade barriers, BYD is rapidly localizing production in strategic geopolitical hubs, building mega factories across Brazil, Hungary, Turkey, Thailand, and Indonesia. They even commissioned their own private fleet to massive cargo ships to guarantee they are never at the mercy of global shipping bottlenecks. The ultimate goal is to replace legacy brands as the default automaker for the global middle class. What then is the deeper lesson there for a developing nation like Pakistan? How does a country caught in an ongoing economic crisis engineer its own version of this industrial miracle? The answer lies in the structural shifts, not quick fixes. First, Pakistan must urgently pivot away from the current, failing, completely knocked down model. Right now, our automotive industry is trapped in a loop of importing pre-made parts from abroad and merely screwing them together locally, which drastically drains our foreign exchange reserves and builds zero domestic intellectual property. State incentives must be tied strictly to deep technology transfer and the local manufacturing of core components. Second, Pakistan must aggressively leverage its own raw mineral wealth. We sit on immense untapped reserves of copper and potential lithium deposits, particularly across Balochistan. Instead of foolishly exporting raw, unrefined ores to foreign buyers, the state must incentivize the establishment of local refining and battery chemistry industries from the ground up. Third, we must end the practice of giving blanket tax holidays to real estate speculations or legacy textile industries and redirect that capital toward targeted conditional subsidies for high-tech manufacturing and deep research. And finally, we must bridge the massive gap between our leading universities and the industrial sector, fostering an economy where chemical engineers and material scientists are treated as our most highly valued assets. The old order of manufacturing is dead. True power does not come from source ownership or inherited wealth, it comes from unyielding courage to build our own fortress. The maps of global technology are being redrawn in real time, and the choice to achieve absolute self-reliance is entirely ours.